So here I am hanging out in Ho Chi Minh City in the summer. The middle of August, it's rainy season here, so it's a little tough doing stuff. So I'm just hanging out, waiting out the rain and looking for things to do. You can't really travel far with the rain. So I'm gonna go down to the Ho Chi Minh Vietnamese War Remnants Museum today and check things out. Until then, I'll hang out and have my jasmine tea with strawberry smoothie. Just chill. Today I'm at the War Remnants Museum in Ho Chi Minh City in Vietnam. Everybody says this is a must-see if you come here, for obvious reasons, I assume. It's dedicated to what here they call the Second Indochina War, which is called Vietnamese War in the West. And we're going to have a look through the place inside and out, have a look at some of the old armaments and remnants of the so-called Second Indochina War and see what we find. Well, the first thing I see is a CH-47 U.S. Army helicopter, I guess left here after the end of the war, right out front of the War Remnants Museum. I'm going to walk around the front. There's an old tank here too. We'll check out the plaque on that in a second. There we go, two tanks actually. This is the M48A3 tank. 47.2 tons, maximum speed of about 50 kilometers per hour with a 90mm gun. Still looks to be in pretty good shape actually. And a mounted 50 caliber machine gun. The M41 tank, 23 tons, 76mm gun. Wow, 4.5 kilometer range. Can fire off 64 bullets a minute. It was used in Vietnam starting in 1965. My God, the D7E bulldozer used for clearing just about everything in Vietnam during the war. Orchards, farms, villages, jungles, obviously used in construction as well. It's a pretty heavy duty blade. That'd be good for snow removal. The M132A1 flamethrower. It was used in crossing rice fields, uneven grounds, waterways, and it was parachuted in from aircraft carriers when it was required. It has an M108 flame gun with 200 gallons of fuel that can fire 137 meters and an M73 7.62mm machine gun. Of course, howitzers, a 105mm. This is an older design. I've seen this a lot. Range 11.5 kilometers, this shell. A big howitzer. Wow, one round a minute from the 155mm howitzer. This thing has a range of 14.5 kilometers. Amazing. U.S. Army had about 108 of these in Vietnam by January 1968, it said. Quite the machinery. M107, 175mm gun, the so-called king of the battlefield. They say it's a self-propelled artillery piece, but it's obviously a tank with a massive gun. It can shoot, wow, 32.5 kilometers. It can fire off one round every 2 minutes. There was 152 of these used by the Army in 1969, they say. It's obviously an anti-aircraft gun, but there's no writing on it. No plaque. Looks like something from World War II. There's various pieces. It looks like various battery components that are hanging around in here too. Some recoilless guns that they would mount on trucks. Another battery top, it looks like, over there. Now here's a new kind of fishing boat. It's a fishing expedition, all right. And what are they using that for? Whaling? Look at that. But here's some of the armaments that were used by the U.S. Army, they're saying. This big, huge thing is the BLU-82 seismic bomb. It's 3.3 meters in length, 1.37 meter diameter. It's got a 5,700 kilogram explosive. It was dropped from a C-130 cargo plane. It says it would destroy an area within a 100-meter radius and cause serious damage within 3.2 kilometers. They started using it in Vietnam in 1970. There's various other bombs and, I guess, artillery and projectile devices. Look at the size of the bombs in the back. They're about 6 feet tall. There's those big guys in the back corner. They're the 3,000-pound bombs. And the ones to the right are 2,000-pound bombs. There's all kinds of stuff in here. 6-barreled Vulcan machine gun. Oh, it's way over there. Warheads from missiles. All stuff left behind. That's the 20 millimeter 6-barreled M61 Vulcan gun. 20 millimeter rounds it shoots. This is an F-5A jet fighter. Maximum range of action 2,000 kilometers. Could fly almost 1,300 kilometers an hour. It's equipped with two 20 millimeter M39A3 guns, 280 rounds per gun, 5 bomb ejector racks, and 2 wingtip missile launchers. Wow, here's a Cessna fighter. I didn't even know Cessna made fighters. It's a light attack aircraft. It's an A-37 fighter bomber, it's called. It could fly for about 1 hour, 40 minutes in a range of about 2,200 kilometers. Has about 1,500 bullets to fire out of a 7.62 millimeter gun and 4 bomb ejector racks. Oh, this is the A-1 Sky Raider. It's a fighter bomber manufactured by McDonnell Douglas Company. Take a walk around the outside here. Check it out. It's quite the plane. 4 20 millimeter cannons, 8 rocket launchers, and carries 15 bombs weighing from 113 to 450 kilograms. It also dropped napalm, phosphorus, CBU, and cluster bombs. Now here's the classic helicopter you see a lot represented in old Vietnam War movies. It's the UH-1H Huey. It's a bi-rotor chopper. It was used for everything. It could fly about 370 kilometers. 2 6-barrel guns, caliber 7.62 millimeter. There's 2 rocket launchers. By April 1969, some 2,202 UH series helicopters were serving in the US Army in Vietnam. So this is called the Tiger Cages. There's a lot of discussion online about this museum showing war crimes that were committed by the Allies during the Vietnamese War. There's some notorious cells that were in the Con Dao prison that they used to put people in when they catch them, i.e. the Western Allies. So this is a walk through what the prison looked like. They used to put people in. What the hell? Now there's something ridiculous. This is a guillotine introduced to Vietnam, it says, by the French in the early 1900s to suppress the local revolutionary movement. It was also housed at the Saigon Central Prison and La Grandière Street. The story of the last guy, they say, killed by this guillotine. His name was Hoang Le Ca. He was a leader. So these are the infamous tiger cages. Wow. They were a type of cell used to confine prisoners in groups. They were placed directly on sandy ground, all their clothes taken off, locked inside, left to starve for several consecutive days. They would shove 5 to 7 prisoners in here at a time. People wonder why the Vietnamese rebelled. So remember, this is all the stuff the Allies left behind after they bailed out of the war. So the Chi Hoa prison, it was right in downtown Saigon, is where a lot of these things were found. It's a bomb live unit, they called it. Again, this is all stuff that was left behind by the Allies. And then there's a building inside that has photographs and documentation of all the international organizations' support. Contrary to what a lot of people know, there was a lot of international support for the Vietnamese people during the aggressive postures, and I'm going to call it the Western Allies. They call it the American War here, but let's be frank. There was people there from all the Western armies. I know there was lots of Australians and Kiwis that were drafted by England and sent over here to die in this war. So calling it the American War is a little sketchy. But what they have here is basically a recognition of all the nations and organizations and all their work to try to stop what was going on in the so-called Vietnamese War, or the Second Indochina War. So during the Vietnam War, Australia was among the US allies that sent troops. It's probably as many Australians died as Americans, but you don't ever hear about that, do you? All organized protests and meetings and organizations and countries and all the activities that happened all over the world during the so-called Vietnamese War and attempts to try to stop what was going on. And on the second floor in here, there's a special section to Agent Orange, documented evidence. Here's a room specifically devoted to the documentation of the use of Agent Orange and its effects. So interestingly enough, I'm just leaving the indoor section of the museum, and they wouldn't let me film or go in with a camera to the sections they have on war crimes and Agent Orange. I thought that was interesting. The security said it was okay initially, but guys upstairs wouldn't let me in. So, okay. So that's our tour of the Vietnam War Remnants Museum in Ho Chi Minh today. I hope you enjoyed it, and more to come soon. Have a good day.